About 2 years ago, I was contacted by Fox 4 Television in Kansas City. A friend of mine, Carrie Hibbler, is the community relations manager there, and she said that the station was looking to do a community relations project, but
there she is right there.
They did not know what they wanted to do. And so they asked me to come down, and their original idea was to create a fund where they'd get a bunch of donations from and buy like band uniforms and stuff. And I said, well, I don't think you realize, A, how expensive that stuff is, and B, how hard it's going to be to get the money. But something I see every single year is there are kids that come in the store, their parents can't afford an instrument, and we could collect used instruments from people who aren't using them, we'll fix them, and give them away to the kids for free. And so she said, well, how many instruments do you think we could get? I said, we could probably, I think if we got 50 the first year, we'd be doing good. We ended up collecting 275 the first year and have over 600 now. We've given out about 300 of them. And now, about 3 months ago, we just took it to the next level, and we had a fundraiser locally with the on-air morning show personalities from Fox 4, and we raised roughly $3,000. What we're going to do with that money is try and take some of these kids that have gotten these free instruments and hopefully send them to music camp and put them around kids that really are studying, because a lot of them are either, you know, there's certainly inner city kids, but there's also a lot of rural kids way out in the country. We cover an area of 150-mile radius around the city, so it's pretty amazing, and it's been a really great program.
So I'll be sending this to a couple people, so let them know where you are, what dealer, what location.
It's Meyer Music Company. We're in Kansas City. I'm in our Overland Park, Kansas location, but we have 2 locations in Missouri. We straddle the Missouri-Kansas border right on Kansas City. And
you're our new Yamaha Clavinova dealer, and then but you also sell Yamaha band instruments and have for many years.
We do. I think we've been a Yamaha band dealer for about 5 years or 6 years now. I can't remember exactly, but what a great thing it's been for us.
And then sort of describe what we're looking at here. This is, all of these have been fixed.
These have all been fixed. This is all that has been donated over this last year.
Wow.
And then, you know, we have some stuff that can't be fixed.
And that's to be repaired there.
Down there, and then there's just a few left to be repaired. And then these big background instruments, what we'll do, because beginning students don't really use those, what we did this last year, I had about 60 instruments that had come in, tenor saxophones, bass clarinets, French horns, I mean stuff you can't believe people would bring in, but they do. So what I did was I took our database of music directors in all these 60 school districts that we deal with, and I sent it out to them, and I said, through Band of Angels, we have this list of instruments that's available. These are instruments that really beginners don't use. If you could use these for your school, let me know. And within 3 hours, we gave away 67 instruments to 27 different schools. So it was amazing, and the directors were just elated about it, you know, and able to get stuff. And one of the cool things about our program is the kids can use the instrument until they're no longer in music, and then we just ask them that they would return it. A lot of the schools that provide instruments for the kids got to give it back in May. So they set all summer and can't practice.
Oh, wow.
With these, they can keep them ongoing, and it's theirs to keep for as long as they're in music.
A lot to be said about ownership. And so that's the name of it, Band of
Angels is what we came up with.
And then is that a name that you own? Is that something that is the
I registered
station?
the name bandofangelskc.org for the website. We're in the process right now of setting up our 501c3 charity status because we don't have that yet. We partnered with another organization who does have 501c3 status named Music for Jeremy's Cherubs. And,
nice.
It's a great story. It's a dad who started it when his son, who was a music major, got a brain tumor and passed away, and he wanted to do something that would honor his son. And then we also work with another partner charity through that guy also called Guitars for the Troops, where anything guitar-wise that we get, we donate to them, and they will take those, fix them, and either send them to Iraq, Afghanistan, to Walter Reed, you know, to the Bethesda hospitals, anybody, you know, in the armed services, and it's a great way for them to do music therapy. And so, my first donation, speaking of that, was about an $800 Rosewood Alvarez guitar that this lady donated. Her brother was a music major and had gotten cancer, and he had passed away, and she had this guitar for like 5 years, and she just didn't know what to do with it. She couldn't sell it. It was a part of her family. So she donated it to us, and then I turned around and moved it over to Guitars for the Troops and made sure that it went to a soldier who really, could appreciate such a nice instrument and stuff like that. And we've had Yamaha guitars come in too, and so it's been a fantastic program. It's just been win-win. Fox 4 provides all of the on-air support for the program. They're running PSAs continually throughout the year. I mean, they're flashing our big box truck right up on the screen all the time. We do a kickoff event at the beginning of the school year with one of the local area high schools, where the local area high school brings out band kids, and we got one of the on-air personalities to play an instrument with the band kids, and then they use that footage, and so it's
fantastic. And you said this is a new program now.
It's brand new. Well, 2 years. This is the second year of it.
Okay.
And when you start something like this, it really is a 2-year process, because 80% of the stuff that you get is not going to be playable when you get it. So if you start it in August, it's going to take you 4 or 5 months to get it all fixed.
To fix it all up.
So you almost kind of have to work a year in advance.
Right. And then if you could give them your contact information, phone number,
Sure. It's Mike Meyer at meyermusic.com. That's my email address. My address is 10122 West 119th Street, Overland Park, Kansas, 66213. My store phone number is 913-491-6636, and cell phone 913-486-4396. One other neat thing about this is I have reached out to some manufacturers when I've had specific needs. I had a housing complex for low-income housing kids, or low-income families, and there was a military veteran who had been really homeless and ended up at this place and was getting back on his feet, but he got clean and sober, and one of the things that he wanted to do was do something to give something back. So he started a drum line for kids that lived in this complex. So through the donations that we got, we were able to give him 14 snare drums, some snare sticks and stuff. And so I've reached out to some manufacturers if they have, factory seconds, damaged, scratched merchandise that they're not going to sell, that's just sitting in the warehouse. This is a great place to take that and do something with it. These people are not picky. They're just elated to have something that's theirs.
And then there was a website you had already mentioned, I think, briefly.
Well, meyermusic.com. We don't have the website set up completely yet for just Band of Angels. That's kind of the next step when we get the 501c3 status.
Fantastic. So, well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, happy to do it.
We had stopped recording here, but then you had said a couple other things regarding sort of the business model for you and how you can... how it sort of fits in with how you do business a little bit,
Well, there's certainly a lot of benefits to it. I mean, it's obviously a good PR thing to do, but more than that, I mean, my family's always been one and I've been told my whole life that you've got to give back. So for us, it really was not about selling instruments, but, now our culture and our company has really shifted. At the beginning of school, you always have families come in that can't afford an instrument. And up until now, unfortunately, we had to do what most do, which is tell them that, I'm sorry, but I can't rent you an instrument because I know credit-wise it's going to go bad, and, we'd have to come and get it. And that's a real negative. The kid's upset. The band director's upset. The orchestra director's upset. The family's upset. Now, what happens is a person comes in, we go through the rental process with them, they say, well, I don't have this, or I can't do that, or I've been in bankruptcy, I've had medical problems, whatever it is, and it's obvious to us that they don't fit the criteria to rent to. Now, instead of saying, we can't help you, or you've got to get a cosigner, you've got to do all this stuff, we'll say, well, I'll tell you what, we have this program, it's called Band of Angels, people have donated instruments, fill this application out, put down your information, where you go to school and everything, so we know where the instrument is and that you're in a program, and we give them an instrument. And it's really turned a really negative situation that was heartbreaking for the kids and us and our staff into a situation where now we can help these people. Also, you do have people that rent instruments, and then the contracts go bad through whatever circumstance changes in their life, or they just didn't pay or whatever. Now in collections, instead of going out and just taking an instrument back, we'll say, look, we can't let you keep our instrument, but
the new one.
But if you will turn it back in, here's what we'll do. We'll make arrangements to give you one of these from the Band of Angels program. If you get back on your feet, if your finances change and you want to come back, great. If you want to make a donation, great. Whatever it is, but now we don't have to take an instrument away from a kid. And I've had situations from the easy ones like divorce to cancer and brain tumors and all these horrible things to literally kids' parents. I had one little girl's parent was killed in a drive-by shooting. It's just heartbreaking. So you would love to help everybody, but you can't. But now, through this, we pretty much can. You
also said something that was really quite heartwarming for me. You said 30% of some of the contracts. You said...
I would say it's something like that. There's an application that the people fill out. And it basically helps
for Band of Angels specifically.
Right, helps us establish financial need. And then on the back page, there's an essay page that basically says, tell us why you need a Band of Angels instrument. And they really will lay it out there for you. But I would say 30% or so of the time, the essay is written by the child. And... they'll say things like, and I told you just a minute ago, imagine you're at school, you're excited, these teachers bring in instruments and they show you all these and you really want to be in there, but as soon as they say, you need now just go rent an instrument and come to band or come to orchestra, it's over. They're just deflated, and they know, because they may not know that they're poor or they may not know that they're severely disadvantaged, but they know that it's tough on mom and dad and that there's not money for it. So they don't want to go home and ask mom and dad. So they will go to the band director. I've had kids that have taken the application home and said, but mom, what if I can get an instrument, and given it to the parent. The parent filled it out or the child filled it out. But they say things in there like, these are 11, 12-year-old kids, and they'll say things like, I'm too young to get a job to help pay the bills. So I would if I could. I know my dad's working as much as he can. He has 3 jobs he can't do anymore. And if I can take this off their plate, then it would be a big help for everybody. And so the kids know, and the kids are the ones asking in a lot of cases, and it's very emotional to read the letters. And then what I told you earlier too is we try and get our staff involved in this. We'll actually take the kids' applications, I'll read them and say, okay, we're going to be able to do this for this person, and we'll spread it around the store and have different members of our staff make the phone call to the parents to tell them that they're going to get an instrument.
Wow.
And that totally changes a person's perspective from just coming in and doing a job to, now I'm doing something that matters. And so that's been great. We had a little boy in our Blue Springs location who showed up the day after an instrument night at a school, and they couldn't do it. And the dad was in prison, the mother was on disability, and so we filled out this thing, went down and got a cornet. One of the gals for us cleaned it up real quick. Somebody else found a mouthpiece for it, and we put it all together for him really quick to make this kid happy. And we go back up, and as we were standing there and they're finishing up looking at it, I read through what the mother had just written about the child. It turned out that this kid was a cancer survivor. He was 10 years old, had cancer when he was 4 till 6, and they were obviously financially devastated from that. And it's just wow. There's stories like that just go on and on.
All right, well, Mike, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And
happy to do it.
That's from Meyer Music here in Overland Park, Kansas. Thanks for your time.